My name is Dominic, and I'm from the Fish Plus team over here. So at 79 Robinson Road, you can take a look at our backdrop. Yeah, and today we are very excited to have Dr. Noel Yeo here from IHH Healthcare to share about his own mental wellness tips that we can all learn from. And we also have online today our Bridge Plus members from 79 Robinson Road, as well as from Bridge Plus Ascent, as well as our CapitaLand tenant community over here. So just a brief sharing about who Dr. Noel is. So he is currently the Chief Operating Officer of IHH Healthcare, and he is also very experienced in this area of wellness from a personal capacity. So without further ado, I'll just hand over the time now to Dr. Noel to share a bit more of his own mental health and wellness journey. So over to you, Dr. Noel.
Hey, thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. Okay, I will first bring up my slide. 1 second. Okay, got it. Well, my opening statement would be that I try my best to keep my mental health, to maintain it and to keep it well and up. I'm probably not the best person that you can model after, but nonetheless, I will try my best to share what I've been doing in order to try to maintain, my own sanity. So this is only about 8 or 9 slides, and I opened up later on to more discussion if you have things to share. And I call it back to the office simply because we all know that there is already loosening of our restrictions locally, and therefore most of us will be heading back to the office. It probably will require some adjustments from all our part, and also trying to to understand how to work better in the new normal, especially when you already have hybrid tools made available. And some of us are a little bit reluctant to head back to the office, like me. But I think what we have missed out over the past year is that social interaction with your colleagues, and also stepping outside the house. It gives you perspective beyond yourselves, beyond your own household, beyond that physical environment contained within your house. That's why going out again into the workplace is quite important for all of us. Yes, so I know it's a bit cheesy because I had the Back to the Future, the fonts copied, and therefore I replaced it with the office. I believe, and I hope most of you know what is Back to the Future. If not, I feel really old, and I feel sad for myself. So there goes my mental health again. Okay, now the feature of Back to the Future, that trilogy, is all about this particular machine here. It is a car, it's a time machine, and my question to all of you who are on this call is if you have a time machine, and if you can go back in time, not to the future but to the past, what are the 3 things that you would like to give to yourself? I'd like you to think about it, and during the next few minutes or so, if you can write it down, and that is something that I will then close off at the end of my talk today. All right, so remember, write down, think about it, and then write down your 3 pieces of advice you can give to your past self. It can be anything, and maybe if you're comfortable later, I would invite some of you to share. It's always interesting to hear what would you like yourself in the past, in your younger self, to learn or to do, or who would you like that person to, maybe you will be thinking that, oh, I have a childhood friend that I should have asked out, that kind of thing. It can be anything that you can think of. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Right, so in the new in the new generation of work, and perhaps also not so new now, we keep talking about work-life balance, but I have deliberately struck out the word work because my own belief here is that I don't think there is any work-life balance, simply because I regard work as part of your life. If you see work and life as a balance, it means you actually differentiate that on one side of your weighing, on one side of the weighing beam, there's a work, on the other side is your life, which means these two are mutually exclusive. I tend, maybe some people don't view it this way, but my view is therefore not to, not to put these two out, because I think that the overarching concept is there is life, and underneath life there are a few things, and work is just an aspect of your life, which we have to find time, energy to pursue, or whether to to dissociate from it when you are overwhelmed by it. So therefore, there are many concepts out there. I know you have probably seen this pie chart that I put on the bottom right before. This is just my own way of classifying my life or dividing my life up. Some people only believe in 4 quadrants. Some people have 8 quadrants, 10 quadrants. It's up to you to define. Okay, but what I think is important is you have to define. If you don't define, that means your life is a mess, correct? So try to put your life together into well-defined areas. And in my case, I see life as these 5 areas. And I feel that for us to lead so-called a well-balanced life is to be able to develop all these various aspects, put time, put energy in it, always reflect upon all these 5 areas every year or so, and make sure that all these 5 areas are progressing. You wouldn't want to also have imbalance. Say, example, if you keep chasing financial, but you end up neglecting certain areas like your physical health or your social relationships, then your life will become very imbalanced, and it's not going to be that enjoyable. So therefore, my encouragement to all of you is to first think of what are your key areas in your life. I call it circle of life. Some people call it pizza of life. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Just get started. Okay, and then therefore, I'm not saying that every time in every stage of your life, you must balance it entirely. I think what we need to know is to learn how to prioritize at different stages of your life. Obviously, when you are younger, you are in far better physical health, and you probably can eat a lot of junk and still don't put on weight. So maybe at that time, you can afford to spend more time and energy in maybe networking or pursuing your career, therefore enhancing your financial health, so on and so forth. But as you move into other stages, as you age, then other parts of your life will become more in need of your effort and time and energy. So that's what I meant by balancing based on your priorities. And priorities change, as you grow older, as you start families, as you make more friends, or as you change your jobs or move into a higher rank position, priorities will shift. So this is my idea of a life balance that I thought would be good for you all to consider and adopt some principles. Okay, so now it is the next thing I thought I want to share about wellness is really about your inner being, and how you view life. Because if you're empty inside, generally you feel life is very bleak and very negative. But if internally you are a person, from earlier on my previous circle of life, if you have managed to fill up all that 5 areas, generally you as a person in your inner being will be something that is maybe quite fulfilled or satisfied, and therefore your entire feeling of wellness will be quite substantial, and it really comes down to a personal decision. How do you want to feel? What would you like to feel? It takes quite a bit of what we call self-reflection every day, positive reinforcement, and your choice of words that you use to speak. I think there's this example that I used to think of. Say some of us, we have in our younger days, we have the habit of speaking profanity, and profanity maybe at a younger age was we think is cool. We think it's very it's an in thing, so that you get into that slang, you can speak the same language as your friends. But that actually confers quite a bit of negative energy into your life. You will realize that if you keep speaking profanity and you respond with a profanity to a situation, your feelings of anger, frustration actually builds up, and it's proven. Somehow profanity has connection with some negative feelings. So one way that I taught myself or rather a choice that I made when, in fact, I was in the army. I made a decision to replace profanity with other words. Okay, but it's difficult. It's difficult, and to this day, I'm still struggling with it. But I will tell you that it is quite transformative if you manage to do that, because the kind of emotions that associated with profanity actually gets wiped out. Don't say the S word. You can say a simple word like poop. It actually makes the situation turn very funny. So like me and my kids, I won't say the word shit. I will say poop. But it sounds very, very, it's like a joke to my kids. And when I say that, then they all laugh. So that actually diffuses angry situations for you. And I would encourage you to think of certain examples like this. For me, that was one example that I've put in a lot of effort, and to this day, I still try to make sure that I don't swear, I don't say profanity, vulgarities easily, because that helps to keep me very calm. And therefore, I put up some questions for you to consider. Is which part of what kind of person you want to be? Do you want to be the type who always think good of others, think good of yourself, or you want to be the type who always think the worst in others or think the worst in yourself? What I feel is that you'll be missing out on all the good things in life if you ignore your positive emotions. So my fifth bullet point, I put it there because my belief is these two emotions are the strongest emotions where humans can feel. So gratitude and love, these two are the strongest positive emotions that any one of us can feel. And therefore, on a daily basis, if we wake up and we feel grateful for what we have, and we focus on the love we have for the people that we cherish, then you yourself will also feel very good. You will have this feeling of wellness. All right. So actually, what I'm trying to say, bottom line, is wellness is a choice. You decide how you want to feel. Be proactive about it as possible. Don't be reactive, and plan. Make decisions that allow you to feel like this. Okay. So that's my overall message in this particular slide. I put up these two posts here, which I shared on my LinkedIn and other social media, simply is to explain. It's just coincidental, right? These two stories that I wrote about are the stories of Vietnamese female, and both of them have only one arm. It's not deliberate that I found two stories like this. I just happened to read chance upon these stories, and I shared it. So the first one, from left to right, first one is about this Ha Fong. She's a teenager. I think she's now probably close to 19 years old, and she was born because with a one arm less, right? Because her mother had a rubella infection while she was pregnant. So rubella infection causes deformities, and therefore Ha Fong was born with an incomplete left arm. And I mean, it's a disability. You choose what you want to do with it. In her case, she decided that it will not stop her from doing something that she really wants to do, and she became a teenage model at the age of 14, and I believe she's still modeling to this day. So this was one of the earlier photos that she had done during her modeling days. Then the other story towards the right side is about Letu Kintam. She is, she's a bit older. I think she's in the mid-40s or so. For her case, right, unfortunate, but she was born a complete person. However, she was involved in a road traffic accident when she was pillion riding with her husband or ex-husband, right? Quite tragic that her ex-husband left her after the accident, where she lost her arm. And she obviously was had to go through a period of devastation. I think she could choose to give up and forget about her responsibilities as a mother, but she decided not to give up, continue to learn how to cut hair with just one arm, and there she is. After a couple of years, she's still doing pretty well. She's still helping people, you know, look good, and she is raising her kids. So I feel that these are perspectives that we can consider. It's up to us whether to react in a negative way or react in a positive way. So it's a choice. Now, I think this is something that is also important to most of us, and sadly, technology has messed up many of our lives. In a way, messed up. What I meant is that if you throw back yourself to 10, 15 years ago, I don't think we spend so much time on our mobile devices. And I personally keep track. I know I spend significant amount of time staring at the screen. It's really it's something that I don't want to do, but I have to do it because of work, you know, because of the emails, because of all the documents that I have to read, you know, using computers these days. But it's unfortunate for all of us, but this is the way life is. However, I think we should then therefore try to give ourselves a break. And what I do, first bullet point, second bullet point, are the things I do to give myself some downtime, time away from the screen. I will set my phone not to get any notifications from 10 to 6. I just limit it to urgent calls. My belief is that if other parties don't call me, means it's not urgent enough for me to attend during that 8 hours, so that I can get some peace of mind, and really I can recharge. So that's how I, you know, how I give myself some time off, and I also will make sure that I have that 5 1-hour sessions of exercise a week. You know, you can see that I really spend a lot of time on exercise. Not just a mental break, but I also find that physical wellness contributes to overall energy that I have for the whole week. So yes, I put a lot of time in exercise, and during this exercise, I also strictly do not pick up my phone. I don't look at any of the notifications. I put it on silent. I have third bullet point, fourth bullet point are just suggestions, something that I keep trying to do with my children, but I've always failed. You know, the failure is in me and also in my kids. And obviously children will model themselves after our parents' behavior. So obviously I'm the one who's failing. But I've been always trying to come up with a plan not to have a device when having meals. And once we step in the bedroom, also no device. But I still can't do it to this day. I just thought I put it up for those who are, you know, who want to take a drastic change. Then you can consider. Then I also read that some people have a day off. They switch off their mobile devices on one of the weekends. I don't know whether it's possible for some of us. For my case, I'm operating hospitals here. You know, I have clinics that run during the weekend. Quite difficult for me to not answer phone calls and not look at the screen. But maybe some of you can consider doing that. Maybe get creative here is to have each other cover. So I'm also thinking whether I can do that with my, you know, with my team of managers, where I will say that, okay, we'll have one Saturday where we off for everyone at the senior level, but one person will pick up all the calls, and that person is like on call. I don't know how that will work. I don't know whether my team will support that, but I am still considering to do that, or maybe to have that implemented at certain departments, because I find that it will be better this way, that we help one another, you know, answer the calls, and not have everyone be on standby answering calls at the same time. I find that maybe it's better to aggregate it onto one person, but just a thought. And for some of you who are team leaders, you can consider. All right, so this is something that I also advise my staff, and I also want to advise all of you to you know, to think about is consider what are your hobbies. The definition of hobby I found is defined as enjoyable leisure activity. So the keyword is you must enjoy it. If you don't enjoy, then it's not a hobby for you. Please don't do it at all. Some people say that I go baking with my kids and my wife, like the picture here, must be truly enjoyable. If you don't enjoy it at all, you're just baking as a, you know, as part of the family, forced into doing it, then I think you have to find another hobby. I thought it would be good to use that concept of the circle of life, something like as a framework for you to look for a hobby. I find generally if the hobby can help you achieve maybe 3 out of 5. In my case, if I can achieve 3 out of 5 in that circle of life, I consider it a hobby that can pass. So if it's jogging, which I enjoy very much, it helps me with physical, helps me with social, because I go and jog with my wife, and I force my kids to go and jog sometimes. Okay, so it's not hobby for my kids, but it's hobby for me. But who cares? I'm the parent. It also helps me mentally. I get to clear my mind, and I think actually I reflect on my work during that 30 minutes to an hour jog, and at the same time I also get some peace of mind. So spiritual also answered. So I felt that jogging is pretty good. Maybe for in the case of all of you, you all can consider what kind of hobbies you have. But quite sad when I did a poll in my department, at least with my immediate direct reports, I asked them, do you have hobbies? I think more than half tell me that they don't have. I found that quite sad these days, that everyone's hobby is just work. How can it be that we have all forgotten, things that we used to enjoy, things of our childhood, so and so forth. All of us have forgotten about it and solely just work. That's why I find it's quite regretful that this has happened, and maybe as an employer ourselves, we should be encouraging such activities among our team. And I'll come to that later. Okay, so now we talked a lot about helping ourselves in the areas of wellness, in finding a hobby, in defining our own life. But how about helping others do the same thing? I think the greatest joy, at least in my case, is to be able to share all these knowledge or practices that you have that we have used to achieve some success in your own life with others. So that's why I put there, the title is helping others help yourself. You also have this positive feedback that comes to you. And earlier, remember, I said that the two most positive emotions are gratitude and love. And if you are able to receive gratitude and love from another party, that's when you will truly have wellness from these emotions, is to be able to receive it from other people. And therefore, in an organization, I find that it starts with the top, with your bosses, with department heads, and so on and so forth. And therefore, that culture of helping people, giving to others, has to sometimes come from boardroom and cascade down. And what can organizations do for employees? I find that encouraging volunteer work is important. That's why you can see some examples of my hospitals. What we do is we encourage our people to support some initiatives like the Purple Parade. I think this was in 2019 when we still haven't had, this is 2020, sorry, last year. So last year there was a Purple Parade, but it was done entirely virtual. But nonetheless, the participants still require medical cover. So we had an ambulance with an ambulance team on standby outside the venue and to provide support just in case something happens. And we have done that for 2 years in a row. This year we are again going to do it. I'll keep pushing my team to do that. And the feedback from the people who go there and come back, always exceptionally positive. They may be very sluggish. Sometimes you tell people, hey, go and volunteer. Everybody will be saying, oh yeah, I got no time. I'm busy. I have work to do. I got to hang out with my family, hang out with my friends, so on and so forth. So all the excuses will come in. But if you persist and you get people to go, later you do another post-event survey, I guarantee you, they will tell you that I'm glad, boss, that you forced me to go. Because if you didn't force me to go, I wouldn't realize how meaningful such work is. So sometimes we have no choice, but we have to spank people a little bit and push them to go. Then I have another example on the right side. Is I think that's also during, this is 2019. Okay, the previous Purple Parade was 2020. So in 2019, Mount E, which is the hospital that I used to or rather I'm still running as the CEO there. We did a year-long campaign to celebrate the 40th anniversary, as well as to raise funds for the Autism Resource Center of Singapore. So Autism Resource Center is a charitable organization. They have several arms under them. Example, they have this art faculty, they have Pathlight School, they have one more, Professor Braun Cafe. So they have, these are just the more well-known subgroups, but they have several other groups that work together to promote awareness of autism, inclusivity among the community. And so we partnered with them, and we did a year-long campaign, and we raised funds from doing several activities, you know, all ground-up activities. We asked our people to think of ideas, how to raise funds, what to do. You can do things like bake cake, you can make you know, can fold origami, so on and so forth. Get patients to contribute, get doctors to contribute, and so on and so forth. I think what I didn't state here in my post was the fact that the hospital pharmacy, in that year 2019, we hired 3 of the autistic individuals from the Autism Resource Center. They have a department within them that helps to provide employment for adult autistic individuals. It's a big problem because many times autistic children, they get a lot of funding. That's fine because children are young and cute. People will fund them. But once they graduate and they head out into society, they find that they lose funding and they couldn't find work. So we need to have organizations willing to provide jobs, scope the jobs properly for autistic individuals, and get them to integrate into the workplace. So we have done that. So in 2019, we hired 3 autistic individuals to work in a pharmacy. And that was something that then sprouted out into from a little seedling, it became a plant. So now it's 2 years down the road. We have employed initially 3. Now we have another 3 more. We added another 6 more. So we have expanded it 3-fold to 9 individuals total, and we are still continuing to work on more jobs. So we have placed them into pharmacy, we have placed them into radiology. Now we are starting to place them into medical records office, business analytics, as well as business office. Yeah, correct. Because now it's business analytics. Now we're working on business office and as well as lab. So we are always looking for new jobs to create for these group of people. And these are always done together with our ground staff. And I acknowledge at the start there will be apprehension from the staff. Whenever we talk about, let's say I go approach one of my head of department, I tell them, I want you to have employ autistic individuals, can or not? The standard answer I can tell you is no, or cannot. 100% they'll tell you cannot be done. Then that's where you need to get the buy-in, give them the vision, and there's a lot of organizational will involved in doing this. But once it's done, same thing will happen. It's magical where the department, the HOD will say, well, I'm glad you forced me to do it. Because if you didn't force me to do it, I wouldn't even realize that this is possible. So those departments who have hired autistic individuals, I think they know a lot more about autism because we need to train them. We got in the Autistic Resource Center trainers will come in, conduct workshop, several sessions, teach them how to handle these individuals, what to deal with them when they have meltdowns, so on and so forth. And later on, once we start to accept autistic individuals, these staff of ours, right, will then say that, well, working with the autistic individuals are better than working with normal people sometimes. So pleasant, they are so focused, they are so meticulous, and they are process driven. They will do things really based on instructions. Superb. So these are the kind of feedback that I get once we get things going. And that is the culture that we're trying to build in our organization when it comes to volunteering. Then there are some other things I put there. My third bullet point is about ESG. So ESG, you know what it stands for: environment, sustainability, and governance. So these are some, or rather, it is a framework that you can consider when you design initiatives in your workplace for your colleagues, or you want to do that in your personal life also can. Right? Some people pursue going green. They will not use any plastic. They go around with plastics, with the metal straws and all that. If you want, you can do that. Some people recycle like crazy. Also can go around beaches, cleaning up, picking rubbish. Also can, makes you happy. Governance, I think that depends on organization. You can't do it yourself. Okay, now I move on to the next slide. So yes, helping others, help yourself, and then coming to, I think the key point here is that when we do all these things, we are trying to achieve happiness. We're trying to get all of us to feel truly happy when we're at work. Again, I highlighted culture. Work culture has to embrace this belief of having joy at work. The company needs to set up policies and then have activities that promote this culture. So give you some example of what I have done. Simple example is the picture in the middle, where we have our F&B team at our hospitals always preparing on a yearly basis. Every time when the new year starts, we will give out free lunch to all our staff. And the tradition in the past is that the senior level people will be the ones serving the food. It means we'll scoop the food onto the plate and then we'll pass it to our staff when our staff come. It's massive queue because usually we don't get more than 1,000 people coming to our staff canteen. Usually it's about 1/3 that number. But in 2021, means this year, this is the latest one. We have no choice but to pack everything into boxes because of the safe management measures. But we still do it nonetheless. Okay, now I show you this example which I attempted to do in 2020, but I would say I failed. In fact, I launched the program, then pandemic came, and then I couldn't launch it already. All right, so you see that poster. This poster was done about 3 months in the making. We designed this particular campaign in 2019. We wanted to do it in 2020, and why do we want to do it? Okay, we wanted to reduce. We wanted to do two things. One is to reduce workplace accidents. Okay, we were having a fair number of people getting injured while at the workplace. So that's one objective. We want to reduce the number of accidents, workplace injuries. We also want to promote health and wellness and engagement among our staff. So we designed this, this campaign, which is called Healthy Me, Healthy We. So there's a logo at the top right that you can see. So this was something we wanted to do in Mount Elizabeth Orchard campus. And then we have some funky idea of how to get people to do it. We say that when you work together with with a team of people and get yourselves involved in the activity, we will give you a chance card. So towards the left side of that poster, you see there's a chance card over there. So what's a chance card? The chance card is a lucky draw card. So if you have this card, you can put into a lucky draw box and you can participate in the quarterly lucky draw. So we went as far as to get the prizes ready. It's quite a big prize. There's a grand draw. Okay, the 4th quarter, we wanted to do a grand draw. And then starting from 1st quarter, 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter, we wanted to build up to the grand draw. So every quarter, we wanted to have people doing certain activities, earning chance card, and then putting into the lucky draw box. Then we'll pick the winner. And the top prize of each quarter lucky draw will always be a fully paid trip for 2 to overseas trip. So I think we had Taiwan, we had Korea, we have Japan, and we have Italy. So all paid already, all nicely done by the company. We announced it in 1st week of January. Everybody is so excited. We gave all the criteria, blah, 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 whatever, gonna do. Give examples of what kind of activities they should be getting involved. Then COVID happened. Right, so the whole thing was called off because you can't travel anyway. So just wanted to show you that this is an idea of what I consider to be a program that you can carry out in your workplace, but you do need budget from the organization to do it, and therefore it really requires the organization to believe in the benefits of doing such things, and building that culture. So I'm not going to give up. I'm still going to try to push for a similar campaign in 2022 where possible. Maybe have to replace the prizes with staycation or cruise or whatever. I mean, just get creative. It can be done. But I find the whole point, therefore, is whether are you ready to do it as a team, as a group of individuals? You know, you have a few of you all pushing for it, going to your supervisor and telling him this, him or her, this is very important. I think you can make the change. Okay. So yes, this is towards the end of the little discussion here. I would like you to look at your advice, what you have written down. And generally, I think whatever you've written, as something that you want to tell yourself, I want to tell you that it is never too late to do it. All of you are still very young people like me, and now if you have the time, you can find the time to do so. Make it happen for yourself, because all these things are things that you probably would, you hold some attachment to. You will regret if you don't do it, and if you're able to do it now, put in the effort, get it done, then you will also bring yourself wellness. So that is how I will close off today's session with you. And do you want to share? No? If you want to share, then I can ask you all to unmute yourself and tell us what are the 3 advice that you give to yourself.
Yeah.
But I leave it to you. I know sometimes it can be quite intimidating.
Thank you so much, Dr. Noel, for the sharing. I think after hearing what you shared, I think all of us also want to participate in the Healthy Me, Healthy We. Get a chance to win a staycation or a trip to Japan.
Well, Japan, Italy, whatever lah. It was a shame. It was a shame. Like you said, the staff that was involved in this, they were all so excited, because they were saying that some of them were working for 20 years, 30 years in the hospital. They commented that, wow, they've never ever heard that the hospital is willing to give a fully paid trip for 2 as a prize. They've never ever heard of this before. So it was unbelievable for them. So everyone was planning, I'm going to go for this activity. I want to play chess. I want to whatever go to the beach, do clean up. I want to go cycling together. Everyone was planning. Then this COVID-19 happened, so everything got thrown into the dust. But yeah, so all the prizes, we did give out all these prizes, but what we did is that we went back to the travel company. We exchanged for vouchers, and we swapped the vouchers to, as you said, staycation cruises, so and so forth, and we distributed them during a lucky draw last year's Christmas. So we had a grand draw during our Christmas program, and we give it out. So nonetheless, budget already spent. I didn't use it in the correct way. What to do?
It's okay. There's always 2022.
Yeah. See how it happens.
Yeah, but really thank you for sharing. I really like how it's I mean, from your sharing, it began a lot from a personal level, right? Perspective, and then I think even about your circle of life framework to think about the areas of our life that we can pursue wellness in for holistic life. But I think also pointing it to not just staying at the personal level, but thinking about others in terms of volunteering, in terms of helping others, and deriving wellness through that as well. Yeah, I think that brings it beyond a very self-centered focus on wellness, which sometimes might be the case.
Yeah. Thanks for reflecting it and summarizing it so nicely. So I think I'll leave you all with all this to ponder. I don't really want to tell you what to do. I thought it's better for me to share with you why I'm doing it, and what kind of things I'm doing. So I leave the how for you all to decide, because it's your life anyway. You plan your own life.
Yeah.
And I can't be planning the life for you.
Definitely.
Either you model yourself after what I'm doing, because everyone is different, everyone is unique. But I think the general principles are there. I'll have a plan,
Yes.
help others because they'll help you, and don't spend some time for yourself. Always take a break when you can. And then
I actually wanted to ask on that note, going back to the question at the start. So what are the 3 advice that you would give to yourself your younger self?
Oh, you mean me? Oh, I see. Well, I think mine is quite ridiculous, but I think I would have asked myself to play basketball, or to play basketball. Why? Because I think I'm a bit short now. I just believe I play basketball, I'll be a bit taller. I'm 1.7 meters, and I always felt that I'm short compared to the rest of my family. So my siblings, not my siblings, but my cousins, right? These all the male, they're about 175 to 1.8. So I think there's something wrong somewhere in my gene. And my belief is that I studied too hard. I didn't play basketball. So I'll tell my younger self to, number one, go and play basketball. Number two, I'll tell my younger self is to be nice to people. I suppose in primary school, secondary school, you'll be surprised, but I'm quite a punk and I wasn't so friendly to people, which
I can imagine.
Yeah, I think that but that's how life is. That's why I said the ability to reflect is very important. So I look back, I reflect, and I think that you should be nicer to people. So I don't really have all that friends from my childhood are all gone. Whereas I talk to other people, they will tell me that they still keep up with friends from primary school and secondary school. So treasure your friends. Is something that I would encourage everyone to do. Find time to mix with them. Maybe that's number two. Number three, maybe a far more personal. This one I won't share with you the details. I've made mistakes in the past as a teenager, especially. I have this period of delinquence that I'm not so proud of, and I would have definitely tell myself to love myself more when I was younger, and not to make that kind of mistakes. I'm sure you'll look back, there will be some grave mistakes that you'll be so embarrassed to even think about and talk about these days. Maybe those are the things that we should try to avoid. But to accept that this has happened, and to then therefore improve and not have it happen again. I think the lesson is there. So you're all venting because it's very embarrassing to get all of you to speak about your 3 advice to yourself. But I thought it's a good exercise you can do, and you can in fact do that on sometimes you can do it on a yearly basis. That what I just taught you all is the discipline to reflect. As I mentioned quite a few times in my talk. So the ability to reflect is very, very crucial for wellness, also for your future, for your self-development. So you can do that maybe on a yearly basis to ask yourself, hey, what would you tell yourself a year ago? So that's reflecting already. You're already saying that, hey, I thought of some things that I shouldn't have done, or I should have done better. I tell myself a year back. That's what I think you should do. So that is actually a very, very simple way to help yourself get better, and guarantee you definitely will feel well as you keep on doing this over and over again. In my case, I reflect on a daily basis.
Oh wow! Like you would journal it, or it's just in your mind?
I journal it. Significant, I will journal. So I do keep a journal that I have. I can show it there. This is my journal. I cannot see. I'm actually
oh, it's a hardcover. I can't see it, but it's a hardcover.
Yeah, it's a simple book. Yeah.
I see.
Can't see it, but I flash it a bit, then you can see the book. So it's important also to journal significant moments in your life and the lessons that you learn from it. So that's all I have. Sorry if I bore all of you, but I'm glad to be back again to talk about these things.
No, we're very glad to have you back to share with us today or so. Yeah. And I mean, I shan't hold everyone up, but I thought, thank you so much, Dr. Noel, for sharing. And I think Dr. Noel has a very prolific presence online as well, on LinkedIn, on all the other platforms. So yes, take your pick to stay connected as well, to learn more, not just about mental wellness, but personal connection as well. Yeah.
Of course, happy to meet up with you all. Again, thanks for inviting me, and I wish that you have a wonderful long weekend ahead.
Thank you. The same to you as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Noel and Genevieve from IHH for making this happen. So once again, we are from Bridge Plus, and we hope that today's session on wellness, mental wellness, has also helped everyone, especially as we come back to working from the office more and more, in 2021. So look out for our upcoming webinars and activities. And if not, please enjoy your long weekend, everybody. We are just going to launch a very quick poll at the end of this webinar. So everyone, if you could, it would be fantastic for us to know, get a bit more feedback from all of you about how today's session went, and also if you have any further topics or questions that you would like us to do in the future.